So let's call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for the special meeting on Thursday, January 11th at 3:30 p.m. to order. We stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next item is number 3 on the agenda. You have that. Public comment on the agenda item. Again, remind you, please, if you have something to add, make sure at this point it's about the agenda. That's on there. Any hands?
Hands up.
You might have, if someone's talking, they might have their.
Let's see anybody.
Okay, so we decided to make sure she was. Okay, all right, we'll have another opportunity to have public comment after the main item of the agenda. Okay, number 4, we're going to go right into our discussion on the Swift House needs assessment. So we left off our meeting, it was in summer, right? When we discussed having Zane Charity and the task force, and I see a few of them on the list, as well as a representative from the architect. I'm teaching, I think, Tim, that's you, correct? Yep, there. Tim Jack, former architect. And we're going to talk a little bit about where we are and with the architect, what they're doing, and also talk about kind of a way ahead, I think, for the task force. All right, yeah, I think it works for you. Okay. Do you want to grab this and go?
I'd like to hear from Tim, if that's okay. So I don't know where we stand with Silver Trailing, and we have someone from the group here. So this is the first time I'm speaking with someone directly. So is that okay?
You take this portion. You can run this one.
So Tim, nice to meet you. I'm Glenn Sanchez. This is my second time as selectman here, and I've been on the Swift House task force since the beginning, and we've been in the building. We've talked about what kind of needs it needs. How do we open it up again for the town? It's been closed since the beginning of the pandemic, and we've been told that we need ADA approval. We need to do a few renovations to get people back into the building to even use it as it was being used before. So the previous board, we talked extensively. We agreed to use your firm, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about the building. What's the process moving forward? How much help do you need from the Board of Selectmen? How much do you need from the Swift House Task Force? What is your thinking about the building moving forward?
Yeah, so as of right now, I went out to the Swift House to do my field study and gathering the existing conditions, the measurements, taking photographs of how the existing structure is looking, how the walls are looking, and I've been documenting that on the computer. And those are the primary issues you want to address first before you start developing some kind of programmatic use. The other thing on my agenda is identifying locations where an ADA accessible ramp can be located. I'm working through those options. But I'm also here today to hear from you guys with any input for any future use. I could tell you that I recently worked on the Sterling Homestead in Stratford, and we've done an adaptive reuse drawing set to turn that house into a museum. With the flexibility of even just office spaces, if that doesn't pan out down the line. But if there's something that any of you would like to share with a possibility, I'm all ears to hear.
Great, thank you. Thank you. We do have 2 other members of the task force here. Zane Charity just got on. There she is right there. She heads our Swift House task force. And there is Mark Smith, who is also on the task force. And she's been in the building, right, as part of the Historical Society for a while. They were there, so Marge knows quite a bit about the house as well. So I don't know if we want to open it up for questions for them, or
I'll let you run this part of it.
okay, fine. Why, thank you. Why, thank you, Marty. Why, thank you. So Zan, I see your hand up, and there you are. Thanks for joining us. Would you like to say a few things to Tim and to the group here about the Swift House? Thank you. Nope, you are. We need to hear you there.
Okay, now I've unmuted myself. I just said I'm very pleased to see you, Tim, and look forward to working with you on this project. I have circulated a list to all the selectmen, but because it's a new group of selectmen now, just starting at the beginning of this year, so that they can look at the possibilities. And we need, within the next couple of weeks, to schedule a meeting between the Board of Selectmen and the Swift House Task Force to sort of narrow this down a bit. There are a number of possibilities. We had not planned to use it as a museum. The Kent Historical Society already has a wonderful museum that was one of the original buildings and in the northern part of Kent. So that would be redundant. But we're hoping to do something that would be flexible enough to include multiple uses. And so we would want to work with you to try to see how best to achieve that goal. Some of the possibilities, the Chamber of Commerce used to have an office there. There's been a suggestion and possibility of having an information center, at least in the months in which Kent is a visiting place for guests a lot. We have a welcome center. We don't have any place for information gathering. Parks and Rec has outgrown the space they have in town hall and could use a larger space. It's close to the playground and tennis courts and other parks and rec facilities, so that might be an option. And in the past, it's been used a great deal by not-for-profit organizations for meetings, activities, and special events. And also, it was rented to the public, to Kent residents for private events. So, but none of those things have been possible for the last several years because of ADA compliance issues. And of course, before that, because of COVID. So we've been in hiatus for quite a while. I'd be happy if you give me your email. I'd be happy to send this list of potential uses to you. And
That'd be great.
once we meet among ourselves and narrow it down a bit more or prioritize it, then we would, of course, share that information with you so that you'd have a better idea of the priorities.
Great, thank you, Zan. Marge Smith is also on here, and Marge, would you like to say a few things on behalf of the Swift House? You two are on mute.
Now unmuted.
There you go.
Hi, and hi, Tim. Thanks for your interest in the Swift House. I don't really know where to start. I don't want to take up a lot of people's time, but one thing that I heard you mention that needs to be considered is the handicap access to the building. And over the years that the Historical Society was located in the Swift House, we'd started working on some options then. And had somebody actually draw us up a plan to put a ramp coming in the back side of the Swift House, coming in the door that faces the gas station. It's a hard ground, it's near the parking lot. The other thing that we thought was taking the bathroom and combining it with a little room that's in between the main room and the bathroom, making that into a handicap bath space. So I just wanted to suggest those possibilities.
Sorry, can you reiterate the comment about the bathroom and
The
just
bathroom right now is obviously, I don't know why this feedback is happening. Are you all
Yeah.
hearing that?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing it.
So there-
It happened before in the previous meeting. It
The
happened before
bathroom-
in our previous meeting. We don't hear it, but then the people online are hearing
Yeah,
feedback.
we hear a
Very
lot of
hard.
And we apologize, I think we realize it, oftentimes it's the other, when we get on the Zoom, are you on the Zoom? Yeah. No, you're just like, okay. If people are on the Zoom here with the computer, we get a feedback, this is a terrible room for, we recognize that, we're trying to mitigate that, but, okay.
Okay.
I
I'll
think
speak-
if the
Let's take
Zoom
our time.
room, I think if the Zoom room mutes while other people are talking, it might, or it might not have an echo.
Want to try that?
Okay,
We're trying it from our end here.
okay. And I'll speak slowly. Just the two things that I wanted to suggest so that you just could put them in your place of option was the ramp coming in the west door so that people would park at the back door. It's a hard ground. The ramp could come around the corner and come in the door that faces west towards the gas station. The bathroom is a small room. In between the bathroom and the main room, there's a cloakroom. And we had long thought that the cloakroom could be, we don't need it. That double space could be used to make a handicap accessible bathroom. Other than that, I don't know what to throw in now. I think we've got a lot of basic work that can be done. I would like to see us really consider just the very basics before we start to think about making any adjustments or renovations for uses that we may or may not need the house for. Just take it slowly.
Agreed. And yeah, I already looked at that bathroom situation. It looks like
Okay.
the ADA requirements should be satisfied when you combine those two
Great.
spaces. And it'd be the easiest solution to
Good.
work with. And well, you mentioned that previously you had drawings for a ramp
I-
design.
it
If you
was
still
just a
have
s-
those,
We don't. It's
Okay.
just a sketch that somebody did for us, and unfortunately, he's had a stroke and is in a nursing home now. But I can easily redo it. It's very
Well-
simple. I mean,
well, I'm doing it, but if
I-
there's something
Well, I mean,
you have, it
I don't.
might be
I
redone.
don't.
Then
I
that's
just
fine. I got it.
Okay. Yeah, and it was just a sketch on a napkin type thing.
I don't know if you can hear us, but Zan, go ahead, Zan.
I have a set of drawings that were done by a local architect for the building when there were some repairs and changes made some years ago before we became involved at all.
I think
That includes-
Joyce passed those along to me already.
Okay,
I
they
believe I
include a
have them.
ramp from the sidewalk to the front entrance.
I
which was never
highly
built.
disagree with that. I think that would be
Anyway.
obstructive to the appearance of the building. I disagreed with that the minute, I'm sorry, but I just
Where-
think that we've got
where
a
is that
back door
ramp?
option. Right on the street, going in the front porch.
No, I wouldn't do anything with the front. I would maintain that historically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got options on
100%.
the south side and the west side. It curves around from south to west. Or just goes, it's a straight shot along the west side.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Absolutely, go ahead.
We got Lynn.
Tim, I just want to make sure that you got the ADA checklist that was done last year. And one thing that we're going to have to wrestle with, it doesn't have to be the first priority, but we need to know what the second floor can be used for. We don't have a specific use in mind yet, but in terms of like fire code, building code. And the third question I have is, my husband's a building official. I was chatting with him last night, and I just want to know eventually how many handicap bathrooms are we going to be required to have? I was thinking it was only one. But if there's gonna need to be a mail-in, if mail, that could make a big difference in space.
Right, I'll have to do a code review study, but it looks like you only need one based on the square footage, but that also will be dependent on the use. If it's a business use, definitely only one. But if it's like an assembly use, that would be.
There is a second bathroom upstairs, but the stairs are not to code. And one of the things that we had talked about before that we might look at and pursue is doing some changes to the stairs. They're very, very steep. So that would allow a second bathroom, which I understand we might need depending upon the capacity of, if there were to be an event there. The other,
That's
the other,
correct. If you're having public space up there, you would need an
Yeah.
ADA bathroom, yeah.
Mhm.
Members of the task force would love to meet with you, actually, perhaps at the house, to talk about some of these things live in person. And I don't know how, or what the current board thinks about this as well, but this is just an idea that I would love to see if it's practical. Could we all agree on a day where, Tim, you're in the Swift House with the current members of the task force, with the Board of Selectmen, with Joyce? Would that be helpful to you? To have everyone involved in one place at one time?
Yeah. I think it would be very helpful to all of us because the building has been closed for a long time. And even the members of the task force haven't been able to get in and take a second look at things and make notes that would be helpful to you. So I would like to suggest that we try to do that on February 2nd, if that would be amenable to others.
Just wanted to note that I am leaving for vacation next Thursday and will not be back until the 4th. I'm certainly flexible to even come out next week sometime if needed, but otherwise it'd have to be after February 4th.
That's hard for me because I'm in California now and I'm going to be in the East for like 3 days. And so
Here, Zan, we're unmuted. Zan, when will you be here?
I'll be there. I'm flying east on January. When are you leaving on vacation, Tim? Next week?
Yeah, next Thursday, the 18th. Although it's to Ecuador and there's some conflict there right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, I'm leaving on the 3rd of February for India, so I'm not back for 2 weeks after that. So, so it sounds like the 2nd won't work for you.
Not
Traveling. Is there any time you're both in Connecticut?
Otherwise, I'm here every day, all day long.
Okay, well, I think maybe we can figure out the details and if it has to take another week or two, Zan, until you're back.
Right.
We can do some preliminaries in the meantime. I know that Tim is still working up some of from his visits, and there's some things that they're still not finalized with. And I'm glad everybody had a chance finally to see the proposal. I guess a lot of people had not. I didn't realize that. But anyway, now we know exactly what the deliverables are on that RFP and on the current RFP contract. So if we can get some of that together, then maybe we could come up with the exact date, saying when you're back, and when Tim's wherever he's going to be, whether it's Ecuador or some other place. And then when we could actually hold the board meeting, we can hold it there and then reconvene back here. We can do a visit and then come back here where we could be more comfortable to discuss it. We could do that. Does that make sense?
Okay, if we could schedule in the meantime, a Zoom meeting where we could hone in further on our priorities for use, then I think that would be really helpful to Tim too, as he's thinking about the about the building.
We could do that without Tim on the second, would that,
Yeah.
well, for you
Well,
guys,
we
we'll take a
could
look
do
at that as a time.
That would work for me.
Or we could do that by Zoom before the second. Tell me again, when you're leaving? You're leaving the 18th and you're not back until the 4th?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, next week is really.
I could probably, if you guys have another Zoom meeting, I could jump in on a Zoom call.
Yeah, I'm booked next week before the town meeting. It's trying to find time, unless you want to try to do it at 7:30 in the morning. But most of the days there are not, it's Thursday meeting, so town meeting is kind of tough that day.
Can we do February 1st or 2nd for this, Zan, without
That's what I was
Tim?
thinking. Since Ann is back in town,
We could do that. Huh? February 2nd would be better, say in the afternoon.
I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that. Friday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day.
Yes, exactly. We'll see whose shadow we actually see.
We'll see a shadow.
We'll see what's put up. Okay, so
What time?
What time? Afternoon's the best for me.
Yeah.
I can do any at 3 o'clock.
Three?
I can do 3 o'clock.
Okay, that would be good for me.
Okay.
Let's do 3 o'clock.
Do you mind doing 4?
I can do 4 o'clock. No
Yeah.
problem.
We're
Four's
okay?
fine.
4 o'clock. February 2nd, 4 o'clock, Friday.
Okay.
Okay, that'll be our next meeting.
It'd be at the Swift House?
At the Swift House. At the Swift
We
House.
can meet in the Swift House, just us, and then come back or whatever, yeah.
It could be at the Swift House. I'd like to be in there. I haven't been in there since
All right, let's do
2021.
that.
so.
Let's convene at the Swift House, and then we can adjourn and finish up here where it's not cold, freezing, we can.
Great.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
There's recording a meeting in there.
The problem is recording a meeting in
Well,
there.
we can do an audio recording.
Yeah,
We could do an audio recording.
can do something.
Yeah, one of the first things we'll need is to have Wi-Fi in that building. So when the architects are working and people are doing construction and however the building is to be used, we can communicate with people.
We can do an audio, as long as we identify who's talking at which time, we can do.
Okay, so we're okay with that?
We can make it work, yeah.
Okay. Just last question, Tim, do you need anything else from us in the meantime? I mean, do you have all the materials? I mean, there were 2 reports for the Swift House, the previous iteration of the Swift House Task Force before I got on. I think that was a 2021 report, and then of course the 2022 report that I was on. Do you have everything you need from us as a town? Information in your hands?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Just if there was anything like Zane mentioned, to email me any information you
Yeah,
have.
Tim, I missed your last name at the beginning.
TACK, T-A-C-K.
Okay. And so what would your email be at your firm?
It's ttac@silverpetroselli.com.
Okay. All right. And a phone number for you?
The office is 203-230-9007,
Okay,
and my extension is 237.
okay, great, thank you. I will get this list to you and we will hone it down further and give you our priorities as soon as we get that together.
Priorities to the Board of Selectmen, and then we will work together to promulgate them. I know what you're saying. We'll get there. Yeah, definitely we'll get there. So, okay, great. And if there's any other questions, Joyce does have Tim's contact information. If anyone else didn't get it, we can make sure everybody gets that. So, great. All right, thank you all, Tim. Good luck. Hopefully you'll get a chance to get to Ecuador. Oh, yeah, one more question or comment?
Nope, just saying goodbye.
Oh, think about it. Okay. That's a wave. Okay.
Nice to meet you, Tim. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You guys, thank you.
See you soon.
All right, great.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Marge.
Anything else for you, Glenn?
I'm okay. Just to say that I am very happy that we're moving forward with this Silver Petroselli. I'm glad to actually meet someone from Silver Petroselli, and I'm glad that we have a meeting set up and that we're moving forward on this, because as I've been saying for a very long time, if we are to make a decision as a town about this building that we've owned since 1972, if we make a very large decision one way or the other, we need to give to the voters of Kent how much it will cost to use. And we've been talking and talking and talking about this, but we don't have any number. So we need a number, and Tim Tack seems to be the guy to help give us that. So thank you, Tim. That's all I got.
Great, thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. Okay, all right, anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay, great. Let's move on to our next, which is number 5, approval of the resolution. We're going to withdraw that at this point, and that's because we're still working on some numbers. I talked to Barbara. She wasn't quite ready for us to go to the meeting with that. So she said we'll work another, obviously there's going to be more than one town meeting on these, but yeah, we didn't have streetscape improvement numbers ready to go. So we're going to withdraw that from the town meeting on the 18th. So we're now at number 6.
I'm just curious, is it Streetscape 1 or 2?
It's 2. No, this is 2, or this is 1. I'm sorry, this is the 1 to finish up the funding from the grant.
Okay.
Instead, we're going to pay for it here, but we have to make the proposal for the town to agree to move the money. So yeah, 2 is it's going. We have our first meeting on 2 to talk about land acquisition and so on Friday with the engineers and all that kind of stuff. So. We're the preliminary getting, but it's moving. Good. Okay. All right. Number 6 is the proposed revisions of the Protection of Farmers Ordinance, formerly Right to Farm. And I really appreciate Connie Manis, who's the commission chair for the Conservation Commission, has been working on this for sure. There's a lot of changes on that. So I'll just have you present what you think are the highlights of this, maybe any specific changes, and then I guess answer any questions the board has.
Sure. Well, Connie Manis here on behalf of the Conservation Commission as the author of this ordinance. Just so by way of background, this ordinance is not new. It was something that the Conservation Commission helped to create and was passed in 2015. And we did this because of recommendations in various POCDs, including our Northwest Hills Council of Governments POCD, recommending that towns enact farm-friendly ordinances and policies and practices. And so, the ordinances were known as that at that time as right to farm ordinances, and essentially protected farmers against having nuisance claims brought against them for doing things that are normal for farming. All right, so things that caused odors, things that were noisy, or maybe raised some dust. But things that were, intricately related to the practice of farming and considered normal, but that might, occasionally, not be something that somebody who didn't fully embrace living next to a farm would enjoy all of the time. Anyway, we did the Right to Farm ordinance. The problem was that it confused almost everyone because people felt that ordinance really gave community residents the right to file a claim against a farmer for something that was noisy, smelled, or raised some dust. But that's not what they're for. They're specifically to protect farmers against any of those kinds of nuisance claims. Kent, as it turns out, does not have any noise ordinance or any methodology for any citizen to bring that against any other citizen or resident of Kent. So, it's almost like the farmers were being jeopardized because they were specifically named in this ordinance, whereas, if, just a regular member of the public wanted to bring a claim against their neighbor, they wouldn't be able to do that. So because of that, and following two kind of high profile, disagreements in town where the right to farm ordinance was brought up as a possibility of bringing a claim against somebody who was arguably conducting farming. The Conservation Commission took it upon itself to revise that ordinance to be more specific about what the purpose and intent of this ordinance was. So we renamed it, for starters, so that it's now called Protection of Farms and Farmers from Nuisance Claims. So a little bit clearer about what it is supposed to do. And I would say, if nothing else, to focus in on the first two paragraphs of the ordinance, which are about its purpose and intent. The first paragraph really, articulating a very farm-friendly perspective or policy coming from this town, really supportive of its agricultural heritage and past. And the second paragraph specifically stating that it's not the purpose of the ordinance to create an avenue for complaints to be made against farmers, which could not be made against non-farmers. So it's protective, not punitive in its application. It does not provide a process for and may not be used as an affirmative right to bring nuisance claims or grievances, including but not limited to those related to noise, odors, dust, or fumes, the storage or use of buildings and equipment. And so we hope that this is now clearer and will remain on the books as something that expresses an intent to be proactive and farm-friendly without, creating the confusion that it might actually create an avenue for a claim to be brought. The revisions, in addition to being extensively discussed within the Conservation Commission, did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission and to the town attorney for suggestions and revisions, all of which were made, and we now bring it to you as the final step, hopefully before it can go to the town for adoption.
Any questions?
No, but I appreciate all the work that Conservation Commission's done on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, and for the folks too that were affected by some of the issues that came up because of the,
Yes.
you guys did an excellent job.
Yeah, this is very clear.
Yeah, it was so, I read over the old one numerous times and then all the issues and then the new one, I'm like, I think I understand this. I appreciate it. A little bit. So, yeah, that's, all right, so then if there's any questions or concerns about the ordinance itself, I'd like to your motion to accept the ordinance as proposed to us for submission to the town for review and adoption.
I'll make that motion.
Make a motion, okay?
Second.
Great, okay. Any other discussion regarding that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous on that, so it will be on the PTs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, next is the proposed cemeteries ordinance, and we have Ms. Cemeteries right here. Happy to have you here, thank you. Do you want to open up anything with what this is all about, maybe a short statement about what we're intending to do with the cemetery program now, from what you and Bill did to what we're doing now? That's Tammy Potter, by the way.
Yes. Well, Bill and I have retired from our positions as sextons. At the moment, we are still fulfilling all the items that need to be handled in the cemeteries until the ordinance goes to town meeting, I do believe, and is voted in, at which point the new ordinance will take effect and the town of Kent will be in the managerial position of taking care of the 6 cemeteries in the town. The first write-up of the ordinance came to the Board of Selectmen a while ago. The Kent Cemetery Association officers and trustees met and revised that ordinance. And what you have in front of you now is the updated ordinance with the revisions noted in red. And if the Board of Selectmen have any questions about any of the changes or anything in the ordinance as it stands, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions so it can move forward.
I thought there was a lot of questions that we needed to decide.
There are, and I think,
Okay.
you know, we do, and some of those came about, I don't know if you saw, Randy DeBella, our town attorney's response to some of your comments, and we have is
No, I didn't see
okay,
that.
that was passed to Bernadette. I don't, is Bernadette on?
No, she's not
She
here.
was gonna try to make it today, she said. So what we have really are kind of the comments came from the Cemetery Association, I think under Bernadette's signature, you guys had met and passed these along. Our lawyer responded to some of them, so we're kind of back with, and she has that now to look at it. But the issue that I saw coming out of that, anyway, besides just looking at the different edits, which are small, would be the development of the committee. And part of what the lawyer was saying in a nutshell was there's really too much information in the ordinance. It really should be left to the committee, because changing the ordinance to change something maybe small in a charge to, you know, in the ordinance would take a whole another town meeting and so on. But if we were to give more of the overall specifics of implementing the ordinance to the committee, vice have it in the ordinance, that would allow the committee to make any changes and then recommend the board of selectmen, and we could go back and forth and adjust as necessary without having to go to a town meeting every time something came up. So that's kind of, that's what I got out of the comments from the lawyer and what I saw with Bernadette. It's similar. I don't know if you had a chance.
Yeah.
And the second one I had, just talking to Barbara Herbst, our treasurer, was some of the transfer of money. And I know Bernadette and I were going to talk about that at some point, but she thought, I know there's an operating fund and there's actually money that is in, for want of a better word, in trust or whatever, that is a larger amount that, you know, there's some questions of obviously turning that over to the town, how that would actually be used for operating funds or whether it would be used for operating funds. And I think that's something that Barbara wanted us to look at a little bit more. She wanted to take a chance to, or take a moment to look at that and see how we can best do it to protect what you guys had set up previously in putting that, you know, amount, the larger amount in the bank for the, you know, use and upkeep and larger things having to do with the cemeteries. And then an operating fund to fund the sexton and things like that and so on. And the rest were kind of, you know, just small pieces to that. How many sextons were assistant, whatever, and so on, and how we did that. And I think I haven't come to the conclusion on how we go about do the hiring. Once again, we have to do the job description. I think we have a little bit more to do on it before we get there for both the section and the assistant. So that's kind of what I'm prepping for this meeting, what I kind of came up with, Tammy. But any comments you have on that?
Yeah, let's talk about what you're considering the cemetery committee. The sexton is going to be in the or the sexton's assistant, whether you're having one or two people. They're actually going to be the people that run the cemeteries for you. That's what Bill and I have done for 30 years. They're the boots on the ground. Your committee is more of an oversight committee. If you want to do a special project in the cemeteries, you call your committee together, and it's more an advisory committee. So when you're talking about the town of Kent shifting the oversight of the cemeteries to a committee, that's kind of where you have to decide what you're going to do. You'll be giving that committee a lot more power over the cemeteries than what we're envisioning as the Board of Selectmen representing the town of Kent, having in the cemeteries.
Much like, okay. Comments to that? Leave it. I would say much like we have with our other committees and commissions and boards in town, they have responsibility to participate in the discussions with the implementers. And we can use Park and Rec if you want, where they have a director, they have a commission that works the operations and coordinates with the director on oversight and support to the director's position, which would be the sexton in this case. And that's their responsibility. But again, defining what the roles and responsibility of the sexton are, so that, they do have the ability to maneuver and get things done without having to run to a committee every 10 minutes. I understand what you're saying. But the Board of Selectmen having us take over or be more directly involved, I don't see that that's necessary. I think we could have a committee, and that's basically what I'm saying with the comments from your association and to us, and what I saw Randy give back, that we need to kind of chomp on it a little bit, come up with some ideas on how we better keep the committee as an advisory role, exactly as you said, advisory and support to the section who does the day-to-day operations. And if we can codify that, and then the other piece is again, the funding, just make sure we understand exactly how that's, you want it to work and pass it to the town. We want to make sure it works without us losing control of money somehow or making a mistake in how we allocate that money for the use of the sexton to do the work they need and the committee to oversee that. So that's kind of the broad circle I'm trying to draw.
And when it comes to the money, again, the sexton is going to be responsible for selling the graves, collecting the money, then, the town is going to have to decide how that money goes into an operating fund.
Right,
or whatever.
It'd be part of the budget.
Yeah, it'd be part of the budget, but it's a special part of the budget that, again, we would review it if we had to add to it or do something, but, we'd understand the operating characteristics.
I know that Barb's still looking into this, but is there a way for the town to have a trust and endowment type of thing?
There is, and I think that's what they're trying to do with, but we don't want to encumber too much of the money. We're going to be able to give it specifically to the use of the section to be able to move money around as necessary, put money in it and so on. Almost like collecting fees. Again, I was trying to think of a somewhat similar, like what the commission, the Park and Rec Commission does. They have to purchasing, they have to, put things back in. They don't get to use the fee. Sometimes they can use the fees right away. Sometimes the fees go in. Yes, I'm not sure we can understand that. Yeah, there's differences, and that's again why kind of the direct comparison kind of falls apart. But yeah.
But there is a correlation in that you have a hired person who's working. That sexton would be working under you.
Right.
And then also working for the committee.
Yeah, it's like the director, sort of just help them out, what do they need, but if they needed to, whatever,
And you have to remember that when there's actual burials, there's a sexton fee that is paid by the family.
Right, exactly.
And it usually comes through the funeral home.
Right, correct.
So, there's going to be, for burial days, the sexton will be being paid from a different, venue.
Fun, right.
It's all the other work that a sexton has to do that, Bill and I, this has been our volunteer work all these years. That's what we did, but you don't have that now.
I've got a question. Maybe I'm missing this. Is there a job description for the sexton? Is there a job description that you have? Because we have the cemetery committee,
right?
A huge document, but it seems to me that the sexton is very powerful and is doing a lot, and we really need a job description. We do to search for one, but to be.
You're going to have to develop.
It's almost like.
Is there a list of duties at least that you guys have?
Yeah, there is, but again, we'd be happy to sit down with you.
I would think would be helpful to us as a board would be if you could write down all of those things that you've done for 30 years, you and Bill, and that comes to us, and we can fashion a job description for the sexton, and then we could help inform this document, because it sounds like we need a job description for a sexton to actually then go to this.
Bernadette and I saw it, and we did develop an outline.
There is an outline.
Are you?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. We did develop an outline in our earlier discussions, so I can bring that back up, and I'm sure that it could be expanded upon or more details or whatever that you need.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's my position.
And you might want to consider the number of people that you have on the committee. I know that Bernadette and I have spoken about that. You keeping in mind, these are all volunteers, and it's not exactly easy to get volunteers, so
We can always get kind of.
five's a lot.
So, I mean, am I reading this right, that it's 5 members?
That was the recommendation.
That's what this document is saying at the
Are
moment.
you guys worried that's too many?
I kind of think it might be too many to get 5 volunteers together to,
Yeah, you'd only need,
Because you're
3
going to
people to
have-
have a meeting though, so.
you need 3.
Yep, that would be the quorum.
Yep.
And now with Zoom, that should be able to help us out a lot too, with people making it to a meeting.
And Tammy, it's been you and Bill for so long, so it's been 2 of you as sextons. So what is your recommendation for us? I mean, should we seek 1 sexton with just 1 sexton, and that's it, or 1 sexton with an assistant? I mean, what do you think is good?
It took Bill and I together to get the job done. It just did, because it's every day. You're dealing with the cemeteries every single day.
Yeah, and there's a
Right
lot.
now, I have about 4 or 5 people waiting to be buried on April 1st.
So it sounds as if we need a sexton and an assistant.
Yeah.
And we would certainly, like anything else, advertise.
Of course, I mean, I was working, Bill was working, and we were doing this at night on the weekends, and, so, the situation's going to be a little, I don't know if the situation will be different or not. But
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a lot.
Yeah, my father actually was a sexton. He did it as a, again, assisting in, when he had his landscaping company, so. But yeah, it's probably not gonna be anyone's full-time job. We're not looking at that kind of a compensation and so on. But having people that either train a younger one, whatever, that we can continue to have people that are.
So you have some continuity.
So here's my last question, operationally. So we're considering all this, we need to get something done. You just said there's a list of 6 by April 1st. So we need to get whatever we're doing up and running. When do you think we should be up and running with a sexton, maybe an assistant, with a commission? I mean, certainly not the week
Yeah, you
before.
haven't done a lot of time.
Well, it's a lot of time, so we need to get this going
Yeah.
a few weeks before the April 1st.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's our homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to be, you have to have most everything in place by March.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, having this document that you guys did put together, worked on it, the lawyer looked at, the legalese of it, I think we're ready to now combine, kind of chop on it a little bit, and then start working on the job description, so on, put that together. I'm always optimistic, but I think that we can move forward with what we have here into a document that we can now crunch on, come up to some, recommendations for the ordinance, for the committee, and then for the section and assistant, whatever, and with job descriptions and specifics. It's a priority. I think it's certainly a priority for us.
Is it something that all 3 of us need to be working on?
We can certainly, yeah.
I'm just asking, because.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Okay.
we all
I
have.
think we should set a meeting, a special meeting date just to deal with this.
Okay.
Because, just pulling out the sort of rules and regulations
Right.
that Randy has highlighted.
Sure, we can do that.
There's a lot.
And I've just pulled up the an outline of what we felt all the duties and things were that we've identified. So I'll send that to the 3 of you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Brenda. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so let's go find a date here in the very future. We
Yes.
can get together again. Invite you, Tammy, if you'd like to come.
Sure.
Or Ed as well. Bill wants to come throwing in here.
You don't start telling me stories.
I know you will. I don't want to get into it because
Separate stories.
I've sat in your living room and we've spent the afternoon there talking, and I can do that, but we don't need to do that day. But yes, okay, so we will come up with a time. We'll work out when, and we'll put a note out and find out when.
And we are talking to people asking them if they would consider being on the new committee, and we do have some people who said
Great.
Oh,
Well,
good.
that's
that
great.
they would consider.
That's great.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great,
so much.
and we will take this up for further action, and we'll come back with some dates where we can get together for this. Okay, great. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you,
very
Tammy.
much.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bernadette. Okay, number 8, requesting with capital money from zero turn. Yeah, that, somebody in the Public Works Department said we're not ready for that one either. So we're going to suspend that agenda. We think we can maybe move some other money around. So we're not going to bring this to the Board of Finance or anything like that. So, all right, so now really to approval of the annual town meeting agenda. At this point, we could do that. I have a draft. Works. We have the legal notice, information for January 18th at 7 p.m. We do have Steve will be our moderator that night. So, yeah, I talked to him, finally twisted his arm. No, he was happy to help. And so we have here is, and it would go out as the electors of the town of Kent and those qualified to vote in town meetings are hereby warned and notified that the annual town meeting will be at Kent Town Hall, 41 Kent Green Road Boulevard, Kent, Connecticut, on January 18th, 2024, at 7 p.m. to consider and act on the following agenda. To authorize the Board of Selectmen and the town treasurer to borrow from time to time, and this is what will be acted on and voted on at the meeting. To authorize the Board of Selectmen and the town treasurer to borrow from time to time and upon the credit of the town funds for the needs of the town and to make and deliver the negotiable note of the town therefore. It's our standard one for being able to move money. Number 2 would be to appoint the following to the Kent Park and Recreation Commission. That will be Naomi Joseph, a member for 3 years, ending 1/21/2027. Rufus Peter Am, member, 3-year unexpired term, ending 1/16/2025. And then Karen Iannucci, a member for a 3-year term, ending 1/27/2027. Thank you for pulling that together. And number 3, shall the town repeal the current right to farm ordinance, Chapter 5, Section 5-2, and adopt the protection of farmers from nuisance claims ordinance, Chapter 5, Section 5.2, proposed and on file with the town in the town clerk's office. That will be a question. Number 4 will be the presentation of the 5-year capital plan, which I will moderate to present that. Now, I talked to Nancy O'Day-Wyrick from the Board of Finance. She would like to be able to invite in to describe exactly what the capital plan is to everyone and what this process will be to them for the decision to go forward with that. So I invited her to the town meeting to describe the capital plan, what it is, and what all the colors mean and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just discuss on the numbers that we had recommended and so on, and the reasons why we go forward.
Do we want people like from Park and Rec and the fire department to talk about that 5th year? About or are we gonna present that information is my question.
We can present that. I mean, that's the presentation usually is done by the Board of Selectmen. I don't know. I don't remember if we've ever had anyone else.
I don't know. I'm just, I mean.
Actually discuss the specifics of each.
I mean, this is what we're putting forward is basically the fifth
Right.
year is what is new and different. I think this is the way I look at this. The way I look at this presentation of the capital plan is this is the first step in many ways of the process.
Right.
And it's an opportunity for people for taxpayers and residents to say, yes, we like what you've done, or no, we don't like this. We have questions about these particular projects. Because from here on out, it tends to become a lot of talk about numbers and not a lot of talk about the value of the projects. So,
well, okay, I would say we've already had that discussion when we had.
I know we did.
But the town did too, because it was open for everybody to come in.
I know, but this is the reason why the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance started this process of bringing the capital plan draft forward at the annual town meeting was to talk about it so people would talk about it to them. I mean, it's a public forum specifically for the capital plan. That's the origins of it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times people don't take advantage of it, and I think it's a wasted thing if we don't promote it as an opportunity, then they're not gonna understand it's an opportunity for them to come and talk and look at it.
Certainly, I don't have an issue with, if one of the organizations that we dealt with in a capital plan want to come and have a question or something that we can talk about. I mean, this isn't just a vote, it isn't just, it's a vote, but it doesn't.
It's not a vote, it's just a presentation.
Exactly, a presentation, right, because we do have questions that the town will vote on. Or the town, I'm sorry, that we'll send to the meeting. Actually, they do vote on it.
Yeah, there's things that they vote on, but it's not, they
No,
don't
the
vote on
presentation, it's not a final.
capital plan.
Our capital plan submission is not final at all. At all. It'll go through another hearing with the Board of Finance as well, and so on. So, but, I mean, I don't have an issue with, if you want to invite somebody to have them come and talk. And if there's any questions or anybody from the public has another question regarding, what we discussed about and want to further talk about, it's another opportunity, sure, yeah.
I'm okay with that as well, but I do want to tell you both at the outset that on that day I'll be in New Haven, so I'm going to be with students actually.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I've got a school trip. That's the first night, so I'm going to make every attempt to Zoom in, but I can't vote that night. So just to let you know, and I'll email you both. Actually, you can read that to the record. So just to get to know that. I don't like missing meetings.
No, I understand. No, I understand.
No, but work has to come first. Well, Marty, could you at least agree that you will send out an email sort of explaining that it is an opportunity to, and here's the link to it, and it's an opportunity to comment about it? Yeah.
Happy to, yeah. No, I think, well, that's one of the things I want to do on the next, hopefully this week. Probably wouldn't, I will do a special note for that, you're right. But I want to do that in our newsletter going out, is describing what the next couple of months meaning when we talk budgets. And get more people educated about what the town meeting actually is when we have a hearing versus, because we always had that, people show up last minute, but somebody so-on can't be here, can I vote for them? I mean, we don't do as good a job educating that. I know that the GTD did that for the general election. They really tried to get in that, but I think just putting that out a little bit more. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to put out as well. So yeah, absolutely. I'll do that this week. We'll get something out on Monday for sure. It's going to take Monday. I'll try to round it up tomorrow, but certainly on Monday. So, okay, great. All right. So that is the proposed agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I
Yeah, don't forget to sign.
actually brought the memorandum of understanding, so we could sign that.
Okay, good. Yeah, right. Okay, next, we can move to Parks and Rec. After-school program directory hourly rate adjustment.
Yeah, so I made a mistake at our last meeting. I was going off of memory, and I should know better than to go off of memory. The Park and Rec Commission agreed to hire Rebecca Thompson at $21 an hour, and I presented it as $20 an hour. So I would like to make a motion to adjust the ASB Director, Rebecca Thompson's rate of pay to $21 an hour.
I will second that one. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Rick, your public here. Anyone online care for public comment? And you can talk about anything so far, really. Okay. Hearing none. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We have now adjourned at 4:28. Be careful. 4:28. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. God,